Yo, Irving City Council, how you doing? My name is Tiny, and I'm a professional sports gambler. But unfortunately, my career is at a standstill because I got 6 baby mamas all in the DFW Metroplex. So I can't live in a state that's got illegal gambling. In a sense, it will be March Madness. I'm coming up here to beg y'all to make sports gambling legal in the city so I can stack my paper and pay for the illegitimate children. I know some people think sports betting is risky, but I got an unbeaten system that can put money in all y'all pockets. Seriously. My system is easy. I bet on the blackest and darkest teams in college sports because blacker the berry, sweeter the juice, and better the jump shot. I also got a sports betting angle that's foolproof since y'all want to let all these transgenders up in the league. That is full proof since y'all want to let all these transgenders up in the league. I became almost a millionaire betting on Leah Thomas's big ass winning all them swimming meets. And just like these transgender swimmers, my swimmers are strong. That's why I got so many baby mamas. But you know what that means? I got a lot of bills to pay. So I'm sick of risking my life and my freedom on gambling illegally on transgender athletes. So I beg you, Irving City Council, to please legalize sports gambling because I can't afford to be up in the penitentiary doing 5 to 10 years on some weak ass gambling charge. I also would like it if y'all could give me some reputations because Irving is hella white and I'm hella black. My great grandfather was a slave in Mississippi, so y'all owe me for real.
1 minute left.
And I'll say one more time, you white city council people need to legitimize gambling and start putting y'all's money on these transgender swimmers because they got propellers in their back-friendly swimsuits. And remember to always bet on black. I always want to shout out to my homie, DeMarcus Calloway, who is locked up for murder, but he didn't do anything wrong, but stab a police officer, which is according to the BLM movement, is okay. It's time to get paid, bitches. Legalize it and free my homie DeMarcus.
Okay.
All lies will be exposed.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, it's the evening show. Hey, folks. Night writing with Kit. This will be an occasional thing happening here and there now and then. 9 p.m., 9 a.m., all that kind of good stuff. A lot of things with nines. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. I'm Kit. This is Hard Lens Media. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and also on X. We're not live on Rockfin and Odyssey. They've been giving me a little bit of trouble lately, but hopefully I'll be able to fix that very soon and get squared away. But nonetheless, welcome everybody to the show. Hope all of you are doing well. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the ring bell notification. And yes, it is now official. Donald Trump is president of these United States. And because there seems to have been a lot of shenanigans with the YouTubes, looking at you, Fox Sports. Oh, I will never forgive you. But besides the point, in case you missed it or you were living under a rock, YouTube rewind time. Early this morning, Donald Trump gets sworn in as president of the United States of America.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
So we're going to pause right there. Welcome everybody to the show. So a lot went down during this time as Donald Trump was sworn in. Recently, there's been a lot of breaking headlines, especially executive orders and potentially some roundups for immigrants in what's going to happen. Donald Trump has recently, or at least his border czar, recently was making headlines in the news before Trump was sworn in a few weeks ago that ICE was going to at least be doing some immigration raids in major metropolitan cities, most notably Chicago, as our Mayor Brandon Johnson, went toe-to-toe with the border czar, or Trump's border czar, who will be coming into office, Tom Homan. But we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But there has been a lot of highlights, epic fails with everybody within this administration and swearing in. Corporate media also making plenty of epic fails as well. So welcome, everybody. We'll be going over the highlights, the ups and downs, and all-around meltdowns that we saw from everybody within the neoliberal establishment media. So please be sure to hit the like button. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. And I think let's at least start it off with a humorous note with none other than the Zuckerberg himself, because after all, I think we all saw this and we just had to point and laugh at him. Zuckerberg, what are you looking at there, buddy? Looking at Jeff Bezos' recent squeeze, as I've been seeing a lot of the vote blue, no matter who crowd, as they are trying to, talk down about Trump and Melania. I will say this: Melania dressed far more classier than what we saw from Bezos' squeeze. I mean, Zuck, stare too long, your eyeballs will fall out. What you smiling at there, buddy? Even the guy in the back is like, "Whoa! I can't believe she wore that." But welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the show. But nothing says the neoliberal meltdown better than seeing BS DNC actually do the meltdown best, because it's none other than Maddow. Maddow herself. Oh, my apologies, folks. Let me go ahead and rebuild that up there. Sorry about that.
A state of emergency is officially now in effect on the border. Does it feel like an emergency where you are standing?
Feels no different than 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago or an hour ago when we got here early this morning, Rachel. The one practical change that we do know that has gone into effect here is that CBP One app that was put into place by the Biden administration, part of their stated effort to have a more fair, safe, humane, orderly process at the border, has been discontinued by the Trump administration and President Trump. I have to say, I've reported from this spot over the course of 4 different presidential administrations for NBC News and MSNBC. In the Obama administration,
A state.
So now there seems to be talk of a state of emergency, especially with the border. But what's going on with the border? Well, as we have all recently seen, Donald Trump, in a massive fury, was writing executive order after executive order, most notably getting us out of the World Health Organization, also taking us out of the Paris Climate Accords, and also signing more legislation or more executive orders in regards to the border. Most notably, there seems to be an upcoming showdown between the border czar, Tom Homan, and, well, his sights set on sanctuary cities. Now, we've covered this here before in Hardlands Media, how major metropolitan cities like Chicago, New York, and a few others were homes, or at least beacons, that were given the title sanctuary cities. Now, many of the criticisms around these sanctuary cities is that the cities were ill prepared to take care of the massive influx of migrants coming in. The cities had no infrastructure or real plan. And during this time, as we have covered here, many of the longtime residents of these sanctuary cities, especially here in Chicago, were very vocal against the cities and the mayors in regards to their policies and failure to even protect the citizens who've been living here for generations. But border czar Tom Homan, incoming President Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan, is hesitating to carry out a leaked plan to flood Chicago with immigration officers during the president-elect's first week in office, he said in an interview with the Washington Post Saturday. Homan, the former acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, told the Washington Post he hasn't made a decision yet regarding a plan first reported by the Wall Street Journal and New York Times to send 150 to 200 ICE officers to the city as soon as Tuesday. Now, the thing is, today's Monday, tomorrow's Tuesday, so we will see what is going on. But for all intents and purposes, let's just say there's been a lot of buzz and a lot of fear in the air, especially in many of the headlines for local Chicago newspapers in regards to the migrant families or children of migrants who are worried about a future that is uncertain. We're looking at this leak and we'll make a decision based on the link Homan told the Washington Post. It's unfortunate because anyone leaking law enforcement operations puts officers at greater risk. He went on to say he didn't know why Chicago was mentioned specifically. Probably it's because Mayor Brandon Johnson has been trying to put on a tough guy act towards Donald Trump and as well as his entire administration. But listen, Brandon Johnson is in his own kind of trouble. He is right now far more hated than Lori Lightfoot and former Mayor Rahm Emanuel. And in order to achieve that kind of fame, you have to be a real all-star performer to fail that miserably, to be hated more than Lightfoot and Emanuel combined. And trust me on it. If you've been watching Hardlands Media from the beginning, we've had very little to say in regards to any kind of positive comments towards Lightfoot or Emanuel. So the fact that Brandon Johnson is hated more than those two combined says a lot about his administration and overall how voters will feel about him should he run for re-election in the next city election. Continue on. The Operation Safeguard plan was slated to launch the day after Trump's inauguration and run until the following Monday, according to two unnamed federal agents and a former official who spoke with the New York Times. Now, Homan wants to make clear that ICE commitment to specifically target undocumented migrants with criminal records or who have evaded deportation in the past will be a nationwide thing, he said to the Washington Post. ICE will start arresting public safety threats and national security threats on day one, he said. We'll be arresting people across the country, uninhibited by prior administration guidelines. We're not sweeping neighborhoods. We have targeted enforcement plan. The Trump administration is gearing up for what it says will be the largest mass deportation operation in United States history. An executive order declaring a state of emergency on the southern border will most likely be signed on Monday. Of course, that's what took place. Trump's first day in office, according to Politico. Previous announcements of big raids by the Trump administration created panic, but did not lead to mass deportations. In 2019, 2,000 migrants were targeted in raids across the country, but only 35 were actually arrested, at Times reported. Congressional Hispanic Caucus released a statement Sunday denouncing the Trump administration's unconstitutional deportation aspirations, saying ICE raids violate a person's Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful searches and seizures. We recognize the profound anxiety, fear, apprehension these actions bring to our communities, the caucus said. The CHC is committed to serving a resource and advocate for all families impacted by the unconstitutional actions of the incoming administration. Now, here's the unfortunate part of this, especially what's happening here in Chicago. Sadly, this city had no plan for any migrant communities. For a long time, many of these migrants were left outside. They were left in buildings that were completely unsanitary, not safe for human habitation. Many of these sanctuary shelters were built upon areas that no one wanted to live on. And also many of these sanctuary shelters were designed in which to a point that there was no long-term situation to provide safety, real safety for the people. So with that being said, as we are covering more of the highlights of the Trump administration, especially Donald Trump being sworn in, many people are now wondering, well, what lies in store for many of the communities and people that will be speaking out against Trump. And when I say speaking out, there's, of course, going to be voices all over social media, not only covering how the Trump administration is handling migrants, but the future in regards towards free speech. As we all know, TikTok has recently been restored, and they went on to publicly thank Donald Trump, even though it was Donald Trump that was at first all on board for banning it, and then Joe Biden signing it. And then Donald Trump swooping in with that Uno reverse card to save the day. But I want to pull up this article here because this hits close to home. And if you've been watching Hard Lens Media or any of your favorite independent media content creators, occasionally, once in a rare while, we are hit with the jackboot of censorship. And I am very fearful of an environment in which not only are we tiptoeing around minefields, but oh my goodness, laser guided missiles and so much more. Trump signs executive order against censorship. So what does this mean? U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order banning government officials from violating the freedom of speech under the guise of fighting misinformation. I'll believe it before I see it. Sorry if I'm sounding a little bit too harsh, but as somebody who's been in the trenches and has been witnessing firsthand the overall suppression that a lot of us are going through right now, let's just say I am very, very unhappy. There. That's a polite word of saying it. Trump signed a flurry of orders hours after he was sworn in as the 47th president on Monday. In the document, Trump accused his predecessor, Joe Biden, of censoring American speech on online platforms. Of that, I can agree. Under the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, Hard Lens Media and a lot of people in independent media suffered more censorship than we did under the 4 years, the first term of Donald Trump. And for those of you in the vote blue, no matter who crowd, you can shake your head in disbelief, but the answer is 100% true. We have dealt with more censorship under the former administration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris than we did under Trump. There were many policies, laws in which took place under the Biden-Harris administration, in which many people, especially those in independent media, lost their ability to maintain their channels, take care of their business, but also in turn, many of their supporters and subscribers lost their ability to support said independent media platforms. So whenever I hear a vote blue no matter who person starting screaming from the rooftop that Trump is going to do this and Trump is going to do that, just remember it was happening tenfold under Joe Biden, and Joe Biden left the door open for Donald Trump to take advantage of. And I, for one, am ever hopeful that Trump will truly follow through with the idea of, again, calling out his predecessor, Joe Biden, on censoring American speech on online platforms and pressuring social media companies to moderate the platform or otherwise suppress speech that the federal government did not approve. Under the guise of combating misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, the federal government infringed on the constitutionally protected speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. Government censorship of speech is intolerable in a free society, the document says. Oh, God, I hope that's true. But you know what? Let me hold my breath. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't want to pass out. I've heard stuff like this before. Trump tasked the authorities to ensure that no federal government officer, okay, employee, all right, or agent engages in or facilitates any conduct that would unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen. Trump, listen, under your 4 years, let me tell you what happened under your watch. First of all, while Alex Jones is praising you, it was under your 4 years that Alex Jones got deplatformed off all those social media platforms, which was an opening for free speech to be censored. Because after what happened to AJ, a lot of libertarian, progressive, independent activist groups were hit hard all over Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. And then, of course, his masterpiece upon masterpieces for what his administration did to one Julian Assange. Now, whether or not Trump was tricked, he wasn't really understanding what he was doing, regardless of the fact that under the first 4 years of Donald Trump, what happened to Julian Assange was a gut check to what we are doing now. And while Assange is free, it's long overdue. Just remember whose administration he lost a lot of good portion of his life to. Being in prison, missing out on key moments with his friends and family, his children. And Trump did have the power, theoretically, to reverse his very horrific, dumb decision. Continue on. Trump's allies have long accused the government of wielding its power to silence dissenting views online, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic and the 2020 presidential election. In 2020, Twitter and Facebook briefly cracked down on sharing a New York Post story about the Hunter Biden laptop story. Republicans described the incident as an act of censorship. Well, it wasn't Republicans that were only talking about it. It was everybody, hard lens media included. Internal communication published by tech billionaire Elon Musk, who bought Twitter in 2022 and renamed it to X, revealed that the FBI had asked Twitter to take down accounts it said were spreading election misinformation. Facebook owner Zuckerberg, who just can't keep his eyes in one place, said earlier this month that the authorities had pressured his platform to delete materials that were deemed COVID misinformation, including memes about vaccination. Say it with me, folks. Say it with me. What could possibly go wrong? And now the Zuckerberg seems to have changed his tune. The Zuck seems to have changed his perspective, which is fine. That's fine. That's fine with me. But the thing is, actions speak louder than words. And while the Zuckerberg did say that Facebook would be more open, I've been posting content on Facebook, and you know something, Zuckerberg? Ain't nothing changing. Ain't seen no improvements. I got some words for you, buddy. Quit wasting my time. But the media, of course, in its infinite wisdom, especially those people at CNN, a media organization that will one day be extinct. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow or next week. But trust me on it, folks, you will witness it very soon. Because when they do some hard-hitting stories like this, the height of one Barron Trump. Yes, Barron Trump which I will say is probably the more competent version of Greg Hirsch from Succession. Hold on. That's copyright music being played, and I learned a lesson about copyright music, especially today, because, of course, so many of these politicians want to talk about it. So hold on, I'll pull up this little tweet here. CNN commentators in awe as Barron Trump's towering height leaves them momentarily speechless. Yes, he's very tall, and abashed. Just looking at Barron Trump, I think he's like 6'5" or 6'9", I'm told. So wow, she's judging him on his height. Of course, hey, Van Jones, he never disappoints.
Look, there's a lot of talk about America first. I hear from my friends in the conservative movement. Today, Joe Biden's putting America first. This is a tough day. You saw him put his hand on the car. It's heartbreaking. He's actually giving Donald Trump not just the dignity of a good transition, he's giving him a pretty decent economy. Things are healing. They're moving in the right.
I hope you heard what Van Jones just said. Hey, folks, how's the economy treating you? How were the 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Now, listen, I know many of you are about ready to pull out your firearms, your knives, your swords, your shields. Don't worry. Just calm down for a second. It's time to pull out that Coca-Cola classic question. How has the Biden-Harris economy treated you during these 4 years? Type 1 for, oh, it was great. 3 meals a day. Making sure that my loved ones have their prescriptions. Taking my family on a vacation twice a year. Full tank of gas. And all my bills paid. We Biden it up. It was great. Type 2, how dare you, sir? You know the answer. It sucked. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? You know it sucked. Quit asking this question. Is this the last time you're going to be asking this freaking question? Gee, I wonder how many 2s will show up in the chat. I wonder. Hey, Van Jones, tell it to my people again.
He's actually giving Donald Trump not just the dignity of a good transition, he's giving him a pretty decent economy. Things are healing. They're moving in the right direction. He's put in place some things. There's going to be a lot of red ribbons cut under the Trump administration because of tough votes that Biden got Democrats to take. So, I think it's an important moment. It's a powerful moment. Joe Biden, he probably stayed too long, but he stayed too long because he thought he had more good to do. He won't get a chance to do that good, but he's handing off a better economy than he got, and he's doing it in a more decent way, showing more decency than he received. You want to talk about America first? That's Joe Biden today.
Van Jones, I'm sorry, but you are a freaking moron. Okay? Van Jones, you are a moron, and you know something? I'm so glad I was able to clip this.
I don't know anything about politics.
You know what? Just for good measure too. Hey, folks, Van Jones typing up Joe Biden. Here's what I think about it.
And here's what I think about it.
There you go. All right. Simple as that. 1, 2, 3. Because again, CNN, you seem to be in another reality, which is why you're hemorrhaging views, which is why all your tried and true tactics of saying, oh no, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Oh no, here comes fascism. Oh no, here comes this. Oh no, here comes that. Oh no, my pants fell down because we're CNN and we can't get anything right. Listen, this is a media that has to eat so much humble pie because during the entire election year of 2024, and yes, even the early half or late half of 2023, many of them were saying that Donald Trump was going to lose, he was going to jail, and that Joe Biden was going to secure a second electoral victory. These are the quote-unquote experts that were given special treatment by Facebook, looking at you, Zuckerberg, by Twitter, by YouTube, and by all the other authoritative social media platforms. And yet CNN and MSNBC got it wrong. And it's not the first time we've been lied to. Joe Biden handing off a better economy. Joe Biden handing off a better America. Let's talk about what's going on in America. California, especially in Los Angeles County, a major metropolitan city, is crippled. Los Angeles as a city may never recover to its full might ever again. And that is not based on opinion. That is based on fact because the city's mayor, Karen Bass, as well as the state governor, failed the people of LA County. A city is dying. An American city, by the way. But hold on, it's not only just LA. Look at what happened to the people of East Palestine, Ohio, exposed to dangerous chemicals. People of Flint, Michigan are still waiting for safe, clean drinking water. And what about all the victims on the East Coast that got hit not by one, but by two devastating hurricanes? They're still struggling out there, especially in this cold, cold weather. Count your blessings that you have a roof over your head. You have a warm house. Those people in North and South Carolina and Georgia and Florida, they don't have that. Those who were hit by the hurricane and still waiting for help. Or what about the people of Lahaina? These are real facts. And the economy's not treating them well. All of those people have to start their lives over again. And all this was happening under Joe Biden. Joe Biden, for 15 months, his administration did nothing as a genocide took place in Gaza. Joe Biden, whose administration did nothing during 2022 and up until now as a horrific, bloody war took place in Ukraine. Joe Biden, whose administration now, at least during his final days, is talking about, oh my goodness gracious, how shocking it is that our congressional leaders are doing insider trading. Yet Joe Biden's been in politics for 50 years, and only now at the end is he saying, I can't believe this is happening. How sad. How brutally, brutally sad. But these are our politicians. These are our people. Real quick here, I want to take a short break because we are witnessing here. First of all, I got a super chat from RB Ham. Dude, what you doing up this time of night? Shout out from your truck driving brother north of the border. Canada, we love you. Very soon you'll be part of our family. It's negative 30 degrees Celsius or 30 Celsius right now at this truck stop in Regina. Oh, and F. Trudeau. RB Ham, don't worry. You're going to be part of the family very soon, Canada. We're taking what's ours, Canada. We're taking what's ours. Shout out to my people on Kick. Hello, my Kick people. How are all you doing? How are all of you doing? And it turns out, praise be to St. Abachan. We're number 3 on Kick. I can't believe it this late in the evening, but okay. I got you. I see we got some competition in the evening. We're going to have to fix that. And of course, shout out to my X people and YouTube people. We actually got a super chat here. So let me go ahead and acknowledge that here real quick here from Nas M, who said, Kit, my student loans were forgiven. I can't believe it. I thought it was a lie. Well, Nas M, you know what? You are like the first person that I know of. Let me fix my hair here. That has told me that your student loans were forgiven. I wasn't aware of that. That is, you're the first. I'm very happy that your student loans were forgiven. Everybody, mandatory thumbs up for Nas M. Thank you so much for the super chat. But hey, anytime I see my people succeed, I know it's a good day, because when my people succeed, I know I'm succeeding. So thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your generosity. And aha, Democrats, that's one $5 bill you bastards ain't getting. I'm getting it. So there you go. And the only reason why I'm saying take that, Democrats, is because the Democrats keep asking me for money. Seriously. So mandatory thumbs up for Nas M. Thank you so much for the super chat. But we are still ongoing. And praise be to St. Abachan as well. So there you go. But now we're going to be moving on now to our next segment of the day. Well, not next segment. We're continuing on here because hard-hitting news from CNN. Before we move on, though, we have to talk about a major event that is taking place. So let's go ahead and move on now to this portion of the story, and that is the January 6th protesters. As we all know, January 6th is forever going to be a traumatic moment for the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd. My personal opinion, January 6th was a waste of time. It was stupid. It was dumb. And I find the whole ordeal to be ridiculous. It was not Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon. It wasn't the end of the Republic. It was just another blip on the radar that in all reality has no significance whatsoever. And I hope that someday future generations look at it with absolute cringe and say, this was beyond stupid, especially with the overreaction of a lot of latte drinking liberals. But why am I talking about January 6th? Because President Donald Trump made a decision to pardon roughly 1,500 quote-unquote insurrectionists, which they are not. 1,500 insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, and commute their sentences of some others. So here was Donald Trump commenting on this situation.
Mutations in there where we're doing further research. Nice to see you again. So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get them. We hope they come out tonight, frankly. They're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people, six commutations.
Were there any cases you did not need for part of people?
We're looking at different things, but the commutations would be the ones that we'll take a look, and maybe it'll stay that way. Mutations.
So, all right. Now, of course, many people are writing about this. The widely anticipated move which Trump made with television cameras in the Oval Office came just hours after he returned to power on Monday afternoon. Despite being convicted, again, who cares, of 34 felonies, I don't care, in New York last year and facing various other legal cases. Again, I don't care. He's the president now, okay? And calling Trump a felon, all right, fine, yes. Donald Trump is a felon. Woogie, boogie, 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 boogie. All the presidents in this country have been criminals or committed crimes in their own freaking right. Don't turn these damn politicians alive and dead into saints, because they never were that. Your also fantastic politician or favorite politician, alive or dead, has done their fair share of criminality. Guys, and yes, let's be inclusive, gals too. But Trump is the cartoon villain. He's the bad guy. All right, so now including his attempts to overturn the 2020 loss to the Democrat former President Joe Biden that culminated in inciting the 2021 Capitol attack, which that was not an attack. It was just a dumb event. It was stupid. There was stupidity on both sides. How does that sound? Just hours after promising to bring law and order back to our cities, Trump pardoned more than 1,000 January 6 rioters and put violent offenders right back into our backyards, our neighborhoods, people who assaulted police officers, destroyed property, and tried to overturn our freedom to vote, said Sean Eldridge, president and founder of the progressive advocacy group Stand Up for America, in a statement. By giving January 6 rioters a free pass, Trump is rewarding political violence and making all of us less safe. I need to talk to you guys for a second. I'm going to be honest with you. Before Game of Thrones went to shite, there's a line from the Hound. All right, that was in season 4. As he was trying to explain to Brienne Tarth as she was trying to get Arya Stark with her. And she said to Arya, I will take you someplace safe. And you know what the Hound said to her? You stupid bee, there's no such thing as safe. Trying to be clear here for YouTube. That's I don't want to upset our corporate overlords, but there's no such thing as safe. Never has been, never will be. There's no such thing as safe. You can prepare yourself and you can guard yourself as much as you can, but the world is very brutal. It is very dangerous. And guess what? It doesn't care. There's no such thing as safe. And believing this notion that Biden was keeping us safe is the biggest lie that's been sold to the American people, especially with all these now protesters. Parade groups coming out now. And that's what I'm calling these protests now. They're nothing more than glorified parades. That's what they were during Trump's first term, and that's what they are now. These quote-unquote ho-fest protests, these parades, are nothing more than people trying to boost up their ego and make them feel good. Breaking it down simple, it's people masturbating about a fantasy about being a resistance fighter. What have I said about the vote blue no matter who people? What have I always said about them? These are the people that you've run into, and you've heard this conversation in one iteration or another, in one variation or in some form. If I was alive during the Civil War era, I would have been part of the Underground Railroad and freed the slaves. If I was around during World War II, I would have been part of the resistance to stand against the Nazis. I would have helped the Jews and everything else. Don't say it to their face, but say it in your mind. These people would never do that. No, they wouldn't. Because where have they been these past 4 years? Pink pussy hat people. Where were you during the war with the wars in Ukraine taking place? Where were you with the genocide taking place in Gaza? Where were you? Zoink, Scoob. Where are they? I don't know, Raggy. But they're here now. Am I being mean? Yes, I am. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I won't apologize for it because it's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's who these protesters are. They're narcissists. There. And if I'm being mean, you could say you learned it from me. Joseph Garavisi, Executive Director of the Grassroots Progressive Political Group, Our Revolution. Hold on, I'm sorry. Our Revolution. You know what? You're getting this. Here's what I think about Our Revolution.
And here's what I think about it.
Precisely. Elegant words. Elegant words, elegant statement. Said that the Trump pardons of the January 6 rioters included those convicted of violence against law enforcement, mark a grave and unprecedented attack on the rule of law and American democracy. This move not only erases accountability for one of the darkest days in our nation's history. No, it wasn't a dark day, but also emboldens far-right extremists and grants them license to continue their ideological reign of terror. That's not what happened. You stupid morons. These are not patriots. These are traitors who will now be free to recruit others into what Trump views as his own personal militia, he asserted. By granting clemency to these individuals who sought to overturn the peaceful transfer of power, Trump is signaling that political violence and rejection of Democrat norms are acceptable tactics in service of his authoritarian agenda. This is a direct threat to the foundations of our democracy and safety of our communities. To which I will counter, there was a video that came out of Nancy Pelosi. Remember her, Nancy, old hagbag Nancy, who was upset that she realized that her own dumb decision not having the National Guard there was on them. Because, mind you, it was Trump who wanted the National Guard there. This whole idea of blaming Trump for what took place on January 6th. Someone asked our congressional fantastic representatives, most notably AOC's favorite, Mama Bear, Nancy, about her role in allowing January 6th to take place. Why doesn't anyone talk about how in some areas of the Capitol building, the doors were open and the Capitol Police were like, come on in. Come on in, buddy. Woo, come on in. Let's go. Let's go, Ghostbusters. Come on in. Oh. But see, if I were to say that in 2020 or 2021 or 2022, we have to censor you or you need to be canceled. Something I know all too well, being in the trenches for the past 4 years. Am I angry? Oh, God almighty. Absolutely I am. But I'm trying not to show it, at least to the best of my ability. Continuing on, Lisa Gilbert, co-president of Watchdog Public Citizen, said that it is perhaps on brand that Donald Trump has kicked off his second term with an assault on our democracy just at the end of his first term. No, we don't have a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic, but we live in an oligarchy. So there we go. This isn't just about degrading the U.S. Constitution and the rule of law in theory. His disgraceful actions here send a message that political violence is acceptable. It's been that way for a very long time. So long as it is in support of him and his pursuit of unchecked power, she continued, we intend to fight against these types of abuses for the next 4 years to maintain the integrity of the rule of law. You know what that means? Pink pussy hats everywhere. Everywhere you see pink pussy hats. All the little pink pussy hats everywhere. Everywhere you see. More glorified parades. And so that means now I have to check my phone, go onto social media, because in case there's going to be a Ho Fest protest in downtown Chicago, I got to make sure what areas to avoid so I'm not stuck in traffic waiting an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours because you got people saying Donald Trump is Hitler 2.0. I'm sorry, that's not the case. And if Democrats are so easily triggered by this, then gee, liberals, Democrats, maybe don't make your primaries so rigged. Maybe Democrats don't create a system that is horribly flawed, that denies progressives of actually having a voice. Maybe Democrats, you could actually do something that's a little bit controversial here, but actually maybe, I don't know, listen to the will of the people. But after seeing what happened in 2016, 2020, and very clearly what happened in 2024, they're never going to learn their lesson. But yet I'm still going to get those frickin' emails from the Democrats saying, please, will you give us $5? Give us $5 so we can stop Trump. F you, give me money. Okay? Going to take that line from Goodfellas, okay? Oh, yeah, you didn't make enough money this month? F you, pay me. Oh, what? You didn't get delivery in time? F you, pay me. F you, pay me. But of course, CNN, they're more than happy to add in their 2 cents. Once again, I'm so happy that they're an institution that's failing. Here's Jake Tapper struggling to describe Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, also the former Fox host, now popular podcaster and YouTube poster. I'm not exactly sure what to call him, but influencer, certainly.
Very influential.
Yes, an influencer. Oh, he's an influencer. Tucker Carlson. Listen, controversial statement here, but Tucker Carlson was wrongly fired from Fox News for BS reasons. And Fox News will live to regret the day for getting rid of Tucker Carlson because he was a very popular host on that media network. And not to mention, to give Tucker credit where he's due, he had a wide range of guests on the show, from progressives to independents and, yes, conservatives on the show. But unlike the other people at Fox News, I will say this, Tucker at least allowed his guests to talk. And shout out to Jimmy Dore, Chicago's very own. I mean, my goodness, Jimmy actually convinced Tucker to change his mind about one Julian Assange. That's a pretty big deal. Hey, CNN, you're going to have progressives or independents on your platform? Yeah, probably not CNN, because who would want to show their face on a network that is dying? HBO Max, you made a dumb decision by putting it in your portfolio. But that's just me. But hey, wait, CNN also does some more hard-hitting journalism. You want to see hard-hitting journalism? I mean, these are quote-unquote serious journalists all the time, every time. CNN, talk about the Band-Aids.
So those are obviously the Butler County first responders who are marching in.
Also,
Right
Aaron,
now, yes.
one quick note, because our panel, Abby, Philip, and Jake were talking about it a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Apparently the bandages on J.D. Vance's daughter's fingers, her name is Mirabelle, by the way, are bluey bandages. I think you're...
Bluey. Thank you, CNN. These keen-eyed eagles are informing you about important news events. And what better way to learn about the news than to see something about somebody's Band-Aids and what they're wearing. If I have a special Band-Aid, will you comment down at CNN? Thank you for making me feel special. Quote unquote authoritative news sources. Hey, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X. This is what you prefer over independent media? This is what your algorithm favors over. Okay. Be like good little cucks and sit at the cuck chair in the hotel room, okay? Because that's all what you're good for, corporate media. But nonetheless, CNN did do something that will probably cause them to lose more viewers in praise of Trump.
Because it occurs to me that 4 years ago today, many of us were here, 2 weeks removed from January 6th. I would never have believed that we'd be back in this position today as he was headed back to Florida, not having attended Joe Biden's inaugural. And I don't think you can attribute that solely to issues like the economy and immigration. There's something about him. It's probably the word charisma, and it's attributable to him being elected again. Because it occurs to me.
Oh my goodness. CNN. Why would you want to lose more viewers? But see, it's funny though. It's funny CNN struggle with this, okay? It's funny seeing CNN realizing that now after all of this time, as a media network, they now have to go back to covering Trump. But the problem is that both CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, they don't have that audience. Now, many of you may be wondering, well, gee, Kit, you talk a lot about the protests. You have talked about the protests, and And they're being nothing more than glorified parades. Well, they are glorified parades. And you know what, my friend, good friend of the show, Nico House, he has spoken truth to power, because if there's going to be a true resistance or a true political movement, this includes everyone: progressives, independents, yes, you liberals too, conservatives, Republicans, and libertarians. If there's going to be a true political movement, the tried and true message of doing a protest, holding up signs just doesn't work. Because the day before the inauguration, there was a protest, and it was weak, impotent, small, and pathetic, the kind in which people would laugh at. Gone are the days of the massive protests that took place between 2016 until the final days of the Trump years. The organizations that were building up and made a name for themselves over Trump derangement syndrome don't have the same mojo as they used to. And I want to pull up this video from good friend of the show, Nico House. And if Nico's being mean, if I'm being mean, you could say you learned it from us. But it's about time we address these quote unquote activists and organizers for doing the same tactic over and over again. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, I have offered the solution of citizen ballot initiatives. I have offered the solution of building up and creating real independent political organizations and third parties not connected to DC. We have to keep an open eye out for infiltrators, because that's what happened to all those movements. Black Lives Matter, Me Too, Time's Up, Our Revolution, DSA, Just Us Democrats, Brand New Congress, all these organizations, all of them, they lost whatever influence they had on the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, because they were there, they were hyped up during the 4 years of Trump, his first term, and then they withered away and died because they were no longer useful. And people got burnt out.
Thousands of protesters gather in Washington, D.C. and around the world to protest Trump's inauguration. That's right, thousands of people from hundreds of organizations across the country gathered to challenge the fascist policies of Donald Trump. But I just got one question. Where the hell y'all been at the last 4 years?
My exact same thought too. Where were they at? Where were you people? Where were you? It's so good to see everybody putting on their marching shoes again. But look, I know I made a promise that I was going to cover a Trump protest. I don't know if I have the emotional maturity to really sit through one. I'll try, but I can't make a promise to you, my audience. I've let you down, because I'm just going to ask, where the hell have you been? Where were you? Where were you at? Why are we in front of Trump Tower? This isn't a government building. Are you going to bring that same kind of heat to the buildings in downtown Chicago? Yeah, probably not.
Because, yeah, y'all call this the People's March, and you claim you're marching against fascism, but what it really looks like is that you just hate Donald Trump. For example, in those crowds, you very sparsely see anything pro-Palestine, even though the Biden administration was damn near single-handedly funding the genocide this entire time. And besides pardoning his guilty son so that he wouldn't serve time in jail, which I would never allow Trump to do without challenging him every step of the way, y'all are out there protesting Trump while Biden was actively pardoning Liz Cheney and other Republicans, in addition to Dr. Fauci, which is a whole different conversation. Like, you guys are aware that we've been screaming at the top of our lungs for the last several years that Biden and his administration are sending billions and billions of dollars to neo-Nazis in Ukraine, right? And given the state of our economy, I can't really see how this is not of any importance to you all. Or better yet, given how many of you have said that your biggest criticism of Trump is that he supports neo-Nazis, I just find it really strange that when you have a president who's literally funding neo-Nazis, y'all don't show up. And speaking of inauguration, it's like the whole liberal world forgot that Joe Biden was a segregationist, that he was the worst option out of the Democratic primary candidates.
How dare you, Nico? He's Bernie Sanders' good friend. While Bernie Sanders was being arrested during the civil rights movement, Joe Biden was a Strom Thurmond. They're buddies, they're pals. That's very true, though. No, Joe Biden was a good friend to Strom Thurmond. spoke. In fact, he gave a eulogy to Strom Thurmond. Joe Biden didn't want his white kids to be with black kids. Joe Biden verbally yelled down, browbeaten Anita Hill. Joe Biden was the architect and is still unapologetic for the crime bill that we're still dealing with today. Joe Biden, who's been on the wrong side of history. But I said all that I have said. But the liberals will never listen because Trump is rent-free in their head.
At the time, and they all knew that. And they protested Trump during his inauguration because of the fear of fascist policies. But it's like they believe fascism disappeared the moment that Biden won. And I said time and time again that one of my biggest fears is that if Biden did win, all of a sudden the protesting would stop. And for the most part, that is exactly what happened. Y'all all took the longest brunch in history, and it's like y'all just got over y'all hangover this past weekend. See, but while y'all were at brunch, Biden deported more immigrants than Trump did, not to mention ravaging their nations while doing so, which is the only reason they bringing their asses to the United States to begin with. You see, while y'all were at brunch, police killed more people under the Biden administration than they killed under the Trump administration. And y'all had nothing to say about that.
It's because it would upset their brunch, man. See, these were extreme centrists having their lunch brunch. I mean, come on. I mean, I remember election night in 2020, the aftermath of it. So many of the vote blue no matter who people, especially in that large TYT sphere. Everyone was so happy that Trump was defeated and everyone was going to brunch. You had people eating oysters and having mimosas, eating fine meals because finally they could go back to brunch. They could no longer protest. They could finally go back to sleep, which is what they did. They went back to sleep. But, you know, Hardlands Media remembers when activists and organizers were calling out Biden and Kamala Harris and other Democrats as the genocide was taking place in Gaza. I mean, Petridge Farm remembers that. Hardlands Media remembers when people were calling out for the fact that this was a terrible economy, and yet people were told to shit it. Hardlands Media remembers when the Biden-Harris administration gave a measly $700, $750, and $770 to the victims of the Lahaina fire, but they never got it. Or to the victims of the hurricane, which they're not going to get it. Oh, and to the people of LA County, you heard me mention how the LA and the people in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, how they're hit with those hurricanes, how they didn't get their 700, 750. You're not going to get your 770. But you can't tell that to a liberal because they'll cry and call you a fascist or a Trump supporter. Don't ever hit them with facts, right? We still love you and we forgive you, but you're going to have to grow up. Because if you were to bring up for the fact that Joe Biden's administration was making sure that nothing would fundamentally change after Trump was gone, if you bring that up, they can't handle it because nothing did fundamentally change under Joe Biden.
As y'all was sipping y'all mimosas. Hell, it literally took a genocide for the majority of y'all to finally hit the streets, and Biden didn't even react to that the way you would expect him to. It took Trump to finally organize some sort of ceasefire. When the Biden administration was trampling on free speech, trying to ban TikTok, the very thing y'all were scared and are scared that Trump is going to do, y'all didn't organize. It once again took Trump coming into power to undo the ban. Does that mean Trump is an angel and an awesome president? No. No, it just means that's how horrible Biden was. But Trump wins an election, and now y'all want to organize? Now you are scared that he might do all of the things that Biden already did while y'all sat back quietly and allowed him to do it and even fought us for having the audacity to challenge him while he was doing so? Did y'all ever stop to think that maybe if y'all organized in this fashion for the last 4 years, maybe Joe Biden wouldn't have become the worst president in my lifetime? And even more ironically, Trump might not have won because Biden would have been at least somewhat forced to keep some of the promises that he made. I mean, this is what we thought y'all meant when y'all said y'all were going to push Biden left. But in reality, this is actually what y'all meant.
That's what they did. He's not wrong. That's what all those protests did. And the thing is, folks, I'm seeing it in the live stream chat here too, and I want to acknowledge it too. Yes, even the protests that I would agree with, especially calling for a ceasefire, they didn't have any real impact. And look, I want these wars to be over, but the tactic of doing a protest just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work anymore. I mean, it's not the 1960s. All right, they got a whole system in place now to make sure that something like that doesn't work. All they are is glorified parades. And if it's there to make people feel good about themselves, fine. You hear a few speeches and then everyone goes home. That's not effective change. You can't rely on that tactic anymore. It's like hoping that battle formations of the 1700s or 1800s can withstand technology in the modern day and age, and machine gun fire and armored tanks and advanced aerial support. That's just not how it works anymore. That's what these protests, these parades have been brought down to, especially those that were calling out the genocide in Gaza. Because you know what the thing is, at the end of the day, many of those organizers were hoping that Democrat lawmakers would stand at their side, which they never did. Never happened. So how do we wrap this all up? How do we talk about the final days of the Biden-Harris administration? I think there's only one way to really break it down. There's only one way to truly say it. It's that Trump is in office. The first time he got into office because of the failed policies of Obama. And the only reason why he got reelected in office again is because of failed policies of Joe Biden, Kamala, and all the Democrats. So take out the trash. That's what you do. Is this being mean? No. But that's the legacy of Joe Biden. One more time, in case you tuned in. You know what? I'm sorry. One more time. Here you go. And if anyone says that this is just too harsh, I get it. But I have no sympathy for Joe Biden, who's been in 50 years in politics, who is one of the architects of this nightmare that we are in. I have no sympathy for Kamala Harris, who clearly the only reason why she got in is because Klobuchar had too many scandals around her. And by the way, again, everybody in the Biden-Harris administration knew that Joe Biden wasn't functioning at all. This is what we've been reduced down to. These politicians, these jagoff bastards who have zero, and I mean zero respect for us. I have to be honest, on November 5th, as soon as we got done with the live stream, I had a great panel of guests on my show. We talked about it. We talked about what was going to happen and how Joe Biden was going to lose. And when I found out that Biden did lose, I smiled because I saw this happening. Myself and my colleague Daniel, we predicted this 4 years ago, and we were proven correct. And now, Democrats, what game do you have left to play? Corporate media, what leg do you have left to stand on? Vote blue no matter who. What massive protests are you going to do this time? It's not going to work because no one gives a damn. That's a perfect way to wrap it up. A perfect way to do this night riding with Kit. However, this is still an evening show. And what kind of evening show would it be without a little bit of kind of science, right? Just a little bit of science. For all the merry gentlemen out there.
Just a friendly reminder that if she puts her hair into a ponytail while maintaining perfect eye contact with you, then one of two things is about to happen. And if you aren't absolutely sure which one it is, run.
I'll take my risk, gentlemen. I'll take one for the team. One more time.
Just a friendly reminder that if she puts her hair into a ponytail while maintaining perfect eye contact with you, then one of two things is about to happen. And if you aren't absolutely sure which one it is, run.
I'll stay. I'll hold the line. Go on without me. Come on, Kit. You can make it. No. No. Bad cookies. Mastermind hour. Willa Black. Everybody, leave me. I'll hold the line. But hey, listen, one more time. Wise words of wisdom. Wise words of wisdom.
I always try to make his penis hard, not his life. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
That's very valid.
Yes,
Yeah.
make his dick hard, not his life.
Yes.
So he will make your pussy wet, not your eyes.
Yes. That's all what we want. It's all what we want, gentlemen. And then, of course, why not?
In this marina behind me, there are hundreds of boats, but to an orca, these boats are merely playthings floating around in their great big bathtub. Orcas have been making headlines around the world for orchestrating attacks on human-led vessels. But the one thing we must remember is exactly how much we deserve it.
Because after all, White Gladys, the whale we trust. The whale we trust all the time, every time. But folks, this has been Late Evening with Hard Lens Media. I have a special guest for tomorrow. Okay, I have a guest for tomorrow. I've told I'm having a treasure trove of guests. I got a guest for Tuesday tomorrow, and I got a guest for Thursday's show. So for all you people watching, be sure to tune in 9 a.m. Central. For some reason, the YouTubes wants to censor Hard Lens Media. I don't know why, but nonetheless, folks, we keep our heads on a swivel. We drink that water. We stay active. We stay dedicated to our battle. And we stay motivated. So we got some music by Jesse Jet, as we should, Jesse Jet, all the time, every time. Again, we are live on YouTube. I want to make sure I got everybody. So if I didn't miss any super chats here, we only got one Rumble rant here and a few. There we go. Okay, so we're all good. All right, we're all good. We're all good with our super chats and everything else here. So first of all, just want to thank you guys for tuning in, being awesome as you are, as you should be. But I want to make sure that y'all listen to some good music here. I think I'm gonna change things up here a little bit. So I'm gonna end this maybe on a little bit of a sad note, but it's Jesse Jet, Dust of Better Days. So folks, as always, thank you so much for making us be part of your late evening. Hit the like button before you leave. It'd be ever so nice if you hit that like button. Pretty please with a cherry on top. Please do that. So we got Dust of Better Days, and I'll see all of you on the flip side. My name is Kit. This is Hard Lens Media. Peace to you guys, and I'll see you around. Night Riding with Kit. Out.
SWAT team took your neighbor today. Watch them as they walked him away. You told yourself extremists come in all different shapes. Met his eyes and lowered your gaze. Is it too late for us to ever change? We are collecting the dust of better days. They're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to be safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Sheriff stopped your daughter today. twice in the face. He must have had good reason if he'd treat her that way. At least that's what they've taught you to say. But is it too late for us to ever change? Once we're collecting the dust of better days, they're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to feel safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Feds arrived and had you detained. Said you'd made some posts they want changed. Tased you till you felt like you'd forgotten your name, or life before they had you contained. Oh, life before they had you contained. The SWAT team took your neighbor today.
I almost forgot. Again, temples will be shut and no weddings celebrated. Public festivals shall be at the 5th hour on the circus. Wine to be provided by the Capitone fraternity and cakes by the Guild of Millers. Folks, Hardlands Media has officially sold out and we have a sponsor. The Guild of Millers uses only the finest grains, true Roman bread for true Romans. That's right. True Roman bread for true Romans. Okay? So don't you forget it. Just want to let you all know that. All the time. Every time.